Hello and welcome back to another video with the total noob trader. I've had some requests to show the setup of my Interactive Brokers desktop application. I know it looks a bit crazy. There's a lot going on. It didn't always look like this. I've been kind of adding to it as I've been learning. So I have a rough idea kind of what I should be looking at when I'm trying to scalp options or when I'm trying to trade. And I've been spending a lot of time learning how to use Interactive Brokers, so I think I've actually figured out, what works best for me. So I'm going to show you kind of why I look at these various things and how to set these things up. So when you download Interactive Brokers and you open it up for the first time, what you're probably going to see is a blank page. Now, if you don't see a blank page already, you can always create one. At the very bottom, you're going to hit this little plus sign at the very bottom left here, and it's going to create a new custom layout. So we'll just call that Setup Today. So you may see this when you open it up, or you may have to do this yourself by adding a fresh page and giving it a name, right? So there are a couple ways you can create layouts. You can always do, Interactive Brokers has a couple that you can just import if you want to do something specific, but I like to create my own. So it's actually fairly simple. I know it looks complex. You start here at New Window. Now, if we're going to set up an options setup, I'm going to need a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to start at the top here. I'm going to need a couple charts. Now, I like to use 3 charts. One more thing I should mention. If you can't move anything around, you may have to click the lock button here, which is going to give you a lock or unlock. Generally, if it's unlocked, you're going to see some green around the edges of Interactive Brokers. And if you lock it, that goes away. So we're just going to unlock so we can edit, right? We're editing our layout here. And I'm going to add a couple charts here. I always want to see the daily chart. And I want to see the daily chart because it has a pretty good view into kind of what's been going on. So at all times, I want to be able to see kind of what this is trending on a daily basis. And so I have that chart here. All these other lines I have here are just me adding technical levels for my trading day today. So they just get imported because I've already set this up. But if you wanted to add some of your own lines, you could always just right click, go to Edit Chart, add horizontal trend line, and you can add it wherever you want. And then you can change the parameters of that line if you want. You can change the color, you can change the thickness, right? You can add words. So it's pretty simple to add trend lines. So I also want to see the 1 minute. So if you're doing scalping like I am, you definitely want to see the live price action, and you're going to get that with the 1 minute chart. So I'm going to switch this to daily down to 1 minute. Okay, so I'm going to add another chart, and I like to see a 15-minute chart as well. So I'm just going to put that down here in the bottom corner. Now there is a bit of method to my madness here in putting the charts where I put them. I want to be able to see kind of all the things that are relevant to what's happening live, kind of in the center here of my screen, kind of in this bubble in the center. So I put my 1 minute chart, it's kind of in the bottom quadrant of the center, right? And I'm going to add my level 2 and my tape and a few more things kind of here in the center so I can kind of look at one place. Now that I have my charts down, I want to clean them up just a little bit so I can create a little more space for seeing what I want to see by erasing some of the bars that I don't really want to use on my charts. So we have a default bar here, crosshair, zooming, alerts, buy and sell. We can just hit this red X and it disappears. And I'll do that on all 3 of my charts to make them a little cleaner. I also have volume. It's preloaded here. I can show you how to fix that in 1 second. So my charts are looking pretty good now. I've got my daily, I've got my 1 minute, I've got my 15 minutes. Okay, now if you want to change any of the chart parameters, let's say we want to change this 1 minute chart parameters here. I want to show some indicators, right? So I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to go to Chart Parameters. And here are basically the options for this chart. So you can see I have 1 minute candles for this chart. I'm looking at candlesticks, medium, volume, height. I don't have too much checked off here. I have volume, right? And that's giving me this volume bar at the bottom. I have last here, And what that is this dotted line that you see kind of up here. This is the last day's close, right? Right here on this dotted line. I have display vertical scroll bar so I can have some scrolling. I can scroll around if I want to. And really important here, I have keep chart up to date and show data outside of regular trading hours. And what that does is it shows me my pre-market action. So I'm able to set my pre-market highs and lows. I see what's happening in the pre-market. You can do that here on Interactive Brokers. Okay, now one other thing I like to do on my charts, I don't love that the candle that's currently forming is so tight to this bar to the side. So I click this little icon down here at the bottom right, and I just drag it in a little so I can feel like I can see it a little better. And I do that on all my charts actually, just to kind of push it back from the edge, just so I feel like I have a bit of a better idea for what's currently happening. We're also going to want time and sales. Now, time and sales is kind of a snapshot into the live action, and I'm not super great at reading it yet. I know it's important, but I'm not very good at reading it. What I do know is that I don't really care about the time. I know that it's happening live, right? So I don't really care I don't need to see the time. I also don't really care about the exchange or the condition. All I really want to see is the size and the last here. So I'm going to drag that in so that all I see are the last and the size. That's really all I need. I got 1 times 100, so this is times 100 for the size. And the reason why I put this nice and long is because this moves very quickly. And I want the maximum amount of space to kind of see what's happening on the fly. There's a lot of really pro traders who only use the level 2 and the tape here. That's intense. I can't do that yet, but I'm certainly trying to learn. So I have here at my, my center quadrant, right? I have my 1 minute candles. I'm kind of looking at my tape while it's going by. I also want my level 2. New window level 2, right? Now I don't subscribe to every source here. I will make another video of what I do subscribe to. Right now I'm just kind of getting a bit of a sample into what's happening. I know when I get a little more serious, I'm going to have to subscribe to some more of these sources so that I can see a little bit more of what's going on. But for now, I just want to see kind of a little snapshot of what's happening. So I'm going to put that pretty close to the center here as well, right? I want that to kind of hang out here. All I really care about is price and size, so I have the other things just kind of out to the side here. I don't care about the other values. Okay, now I also want to add my order entry so I can create orders, right? Now your order entry is really important. Now I have it set up in a specific way so that I can do fast orders, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so in the settings here, this little gear icon, we go to settings. There's a couple options here of which way it's set up. I like the rapid transmit for Interactive Brokers. When I hit buy, I want it to instantaneously buy. I don't want to have to click through a couple other things that say, are you sure? Are you really sure you want to buy? Like that's time eating away from premium contracts changing like crazy. So each one of these options obviously changes the layout a little bit. So I use rapid transmit. I also have some presets here, and I just clicked preset to bring that up. So here's my options for the order entry. You can see that my timing is day, right? My quantity is 1. In this case, it's a share because I clearly clicked on share somewhere, but it will be option contracts once we get the option chain in there. Okay, so if I hit buy, it'll buy immediately. Like I would buy this right now. It wouldn't even ask if I was sure. It would just happen. Now, sometimes you can check whether your margin requirements are going to let that happen. And you can see already that I'm getting messages come up here that might slow me down. So I just want to check my margin requirements. Basically, it's saying I do have enough money to buy this share if I want to. So I could hit transmit and it would go through, or I could just hit buy and it would bypass that whole process altogether that I started by clicking the drop down. and then sells the same. You hit sell, it just sells instantly. It sells that same one at market price, for the day. So that's how my order entry is set up. Now I do want to add my portfolio. It's looking a little rough today, unfortunately, because I got chopped up today. But I usually put it up here in the corner. I do watch it. It's not. I'm trying to get into the habit of watching it less, but I certainly need to watch it a little bit to understand kind of the fluctuations of the option contracts, because they have just been killing me lately. So I'm trying to kind of have it there so I can see it, but I don't think it's necessarily the most important thing that I'm looking at. So I have it up here on the side. I'm just gonna make that as tight as I need to without cutting anything off. I have a little extra space underneath because if I buy another contract, it'll push everything down and I'll need to see a little bit more of what's going on here. I also want to add a watch list. Now, I actually have a bunch of watch lists on my setup, and the reason I have a bunch of watch lists is because I have them linked to different things, and I'll explain what I mean. So I have one watch list here, and on this watch list, just for now, let's just say I want to put NVIDIA, so I'm just going to type that in and hit enter. It's going to give me, what I want to look at. I want to look at the stocks, right? So here's my NVIDIA. You can always mess with these columns a little bit to show a little bit more of what you need to see, right? So this is linked with a green chain link in the top corner, which means if I click this, everything that has a green chain link in the top corner is going to show that data. Okay, so all my charts have green, right? My level 2, my tape, it all has green. My order entry is green. So if I click that, everything that has a green chain link is going to be, loaded with that data. Now, of course, I can change that to any color, and I actually do that with my other watch lists, and I'll show you how that works. So I'll put another couple watch lists out here. Okay, I'm obviously going to make this a lot smaller. My other watch list, say I want to put Tesla here, right? Just type it in, hit stock. Now you see this has a green link. So I put it in, everything changed to Tesla. Now let's say I want to make this, purple. Okay, just to pick one. It's really small, it's hard to move. So we're gonna make it a little bigger just so we can move this thing around. And I'm gonna sneak this down in here. And this watch list I'm gonna put attached to the 15-minute chart here. That's right beside it. So the reason behind that is that I'm able to look at two different things at the same time. Gosh, this is giving me a trouble here. There we go, and I can even these all out so that they're the same height so it looks pretty. Now this is a purple chain, so I have to make this purple as well. So you can see now if I click NVIDIA again, everything with a green chain link goes to NVIDIA, and I still have Tesla over here with my purple, right? So I can hit Tesla, nothing else changes because it's green. So it's just these two are linked now. So that's kind of how I'm able to kind of look at maybe a couple things at once. It hasn't been serving me too well lately because I just feel like I need more screen space. I'm going to have to buy another monitor, I think, because it's getting, as you can see, there's a lot going on here, right? So I also like to keep the news, company-specific news, and I choose company-specific because I'm able to change that. So I can link that just like anything else to, a color, right? So in this case, it's green, which means if I click the NVIDIA, it's obviously preloading in some NVIDIA news. Now you can give that as much space as you want, but you can see that most of the ones that are here are today. So if you want to see the news for the day, you're going to have, like 10 lines probably. Now I also want to see, here it is, my option chain. So my option chain, I've actually spent some time messing with the options, the options of my option chain, the settings, I should say. So I'll show you those settings in a second as well. I'm just going to size this in so it fits, kind of like so. Bring this up so it's pretty. Now, this took me a while to figure out, and I'm still changing it. So right now I have delta and gamma, open interest, ask, bid, strike for calls, and then the same thing on the other side for puts. Now, my strike obviously is important. The bid and ask spread is important. The option open interest is basically showing me how many people are interested in this strike price, at any given time. The delta I've just added recently, and I think that's important because it's showing me how much my premium price will fluctuate with a movement of $1. So at 6.15 call strike price, if it went up $1, I would get 53. So you can see that the delta changes depending on the strike that you choose, and then the gamma is going to be how much the delta changes per dollar. So it won't stay at 0.535. It'll move a little bit as the price of the stock moves. Gamma is what determines how much the delta moves. So those are the only two I have right now. Maybe I'll add some more once I get a little better later. It's hard to say, but I am enjoying looking at my delta in the short term. I also need something here, right? I got a big space here. What I want there is the history of kind of what's been happening. Activity, my order activity. Here we go. My orders. So these are my orders today. And I have these here so I can kind of see what's going on. I like to see them come up. I like to see what my fill prices are. It just kind of is a bit of a reassurance that I'm in, what I should be in and everything's good, right? I like to see it come up here. So this is basically my setup. I'm going to quickly show you the settings here for my options chain so you can see kind of how I set this up. So let's see here. I'm going to go under layout and options chain. And you can see here that I have added the bid, the ask, the option interest, the description, the gamma, and the delta. So to add those, I'm just going to type them in over here. So let's just say I want the delta, right? I type delta and it gives me, well, I already have it here, but otherwise it would show up, right? Delta. And then I can configure it if I want to. There's not much that I really want to do except align it, change the colors maybe, but I just leave it as default. Okay. Now what I find really handy is being able to change the order that these show up in. So you can do that with these arrows on the side. So right now I have delta gamma because they're kind of a pair. I have them on the end, but I could click it up one and hit apply, and you can see that it moves in one from the edge. So I actually want delta where it was there. So you can see now it's delta gamma, open option interest, ask, bid, and strike. And I have kind of a mirror version of that on the other side here. So those are the settings that I have here in my option chain. The settings in my portfolio, I've got daily P&L, financial instrument, right? What is it? I've got my position, obviously. What am I in? I've got my market value, what's the value of that? My average price, my last, and my change. And you can see all those here. Average price is basically what you paid for a given stock. If you bought, in my case, I bought 30. They didn't all execute at the exact same price, so you get an average price there. So that kind of tells you, like where you're at. Okay, my order settings. I've got here, obviously, these columns, right? My financial instrument. I've got my account type. I've got that minimized, actually, the snapshot. There's nothing there. Really, I want to see the action, the type. I want to see the quantity, and I want to see the fill price, and obviously what it is. The rest of these I've basically just minimized. Okay, we'll go to my level 2 settings here. All I've got is name, which I've minimized, and price and size. That's it, and I've got them color coded so that they are in, blocks. That's the color tab, right? You can change the colors if you want to. I'm happy with the colors that show up. In the settings, all there is font size, so not too much to do there. I don't have any hotkeys set right now, but I may think about doing that later. What else? So it's really important that when you click on an option chain, if you want to buy, one of these calls or one of these puts, that it loads into your order entry, right? So right now I have the green link here and the green link here. So if I click one of these, it'll jump down into here. Now you'll also notice that my charts are also linked green, which means suddenly I'm looking at the option prices on my charts instead of the stock prices. Now I don't like that. So I'm going to go back to NVIDIA here on my green. It's going to put NVIDIA in all of my greens here. And what I'm actually going to do is change the option chain. Let's say yellow. And I'm going to change the order entry to yellow as well. And now what I'm going to get, if I click on NVIDIA, because I want to watch NVIDIA right in my green charts here, and if I want to buy an option contract, now I can click on here and it just loads only into my order entry. It doesn't change anything else. So my order entry and my option chain are now linked chain. Now the downside of that is where you have a watch list with a given color, you've got your option chain with a given color, and you've got your order entry with a given color. If those are all together, every time you click on here, click on whatever's in your watch list, if it is the stock, you're not going to be able to link them all three. Because if you click the stock here, it's going to show you in the option chain, but then it's going to be a stock down here instead of an option contract. So I found this is the easiest way for me without adding, tons more windows because I don't have space for them. Is I'm happy to just add it myself here if I want to change it, and I'll look at them with my couple watch lists that I got going on here. So I think now I have covered all the settings that I look at. I got my 1 day. Usually I add all of my technical lines, all of my pre-market highs, my lows, all that stuff, all my daily, and it'll import into my 1 and my 15-minute charts. Okay, now I need to show you how to get those lines on each of your charts, right? So we're going to go to Edit. We're going to go to Global Chart Configuration. Now the global meaning, anything you change in here is going to apply to all of your charts. I've got my horizontal crosshair line, my dynamic trend line percentage, vertical scroll bars, prior close, margin area, bypass parameter window, all checked. I've got last here just on the y-axis to highlight. I show my trades as triangles. That only shows up if I'm trading stocks. Here it is right here, trend lines. When you're sharing your trend lines among charts, when you add one to NVIDIA, every chart that shows NVIDIA is going to show you those trend lines. Now, I know this is showing Tesla. I've already set up lines earlier today for Tesla, so here they are already. But that's what's going to do it right there, the share trend line among charts. Okay, so you see my fonts, the standard 19. I've got my bar details zone, high volume, low close, and date time. Some of these things are going to be things you just want to tweak because you like the way things look. Maybe you like your candles to be different heights or different widths or different gaps, right? You can kind of tweak with these to see things the way you like to see them. Okay, so when you're all done putting everything where you want to put it and sizing everything the way you want to size it and linking everything the way you want to link it, after you're all done with that, you got to, of course, hit the lock button again. And that will basically save your settings. Okay, that locks everything into place. So now if I try and drag something, I can't resize anything anymore. Everything's locked in. Let's go back and check my actual option setup and see how it looks. Very similar, a little bit different sizing. Obviously, I've added a few more things in my watch list here, but you can see I've got my option chain as yellow. I've got my order entry as yellow. I've got this watch list as red. I've got this chart as red. I've got everything else as blue, 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 blue for this watch list right here, right? And yeah, I hope that you were able to learn something from me setting up a fresh page. Obviously, you can tweak this as you go along, and I probably will continue tweaking this as I go along as well, as I learn and as you learn. I hope that you were able to at least take something out of this Interactive Brokers setup video. And of course, good luck and happy trading.